I think this has been the season of adversity, right? You look at COVID, you look at all the different things that we had to do pertaining to COVID. We had a couple suspensions, we had a couple injuries, and just our group handling those on a daily basis was phenomenal.
Our team was so successful this year. The buy-in that they put into the program and put into each other was the number one reason why we had success. The most healthy team is going to be the one that wins. They committed to each other, to stay away from social gatherings, to stay away from big events, to pretty much just keep to themselves is probably the number one reason we had success. It allowed them to practice every day. We never had a kid miss practice because of a close contact or COVID, and that culture of wanting to do it for each other allowed us to have a consistent training session, a consistent environment, and games were just a product of the practices. So that's where it all came from. We talked a lot about when we started to realize that we had a chance to win, and I felt it was Oklahoma State. I think obviously we slipped up against Baylor in the very beginning, but it's the first time the kids had played a game in about 8 months, and so you could call it a slip up. But even at the end of that game, Eric and I and our staff, we looked at each other and we said, "Oh, these kids can play. We can play." And then to go to Oklahoma State, go down a goal, which was one of the few times we even got scored on this year, but to go down a goal and to see them not change, just to keep on doing what we were asking them to do, and believe that the goal was coming, and then obviously for Brandy to get the goal in overtime. I know at the end of that day, that's a hard place to play, the defending champs. And to go on the road down a goal and beat them with a little bit of a crowd in the stands for the first time in a while, I knew getting on the bus that night that this team had a chance to win.
We were only going to take it one game at a time, and our first game was against Kansas on a Thursday night. And we always have really good games against those guys, and I knew it was going to be a tough one, especially on the road. But we came out in the first half and played really well, really, really well, and were able to get up a goal on them at the half. In the second half, it was a little bit more competitive, and they changed their shape a little bit to what we were doing. And they created a little bit more scoring opportunities for themselves, but we were able to get another one with Yaz's goal of the year to get us the 2-0 win on the road. And so I think that moving into the Sunday game gave us a lot of confidence. All right, we can do this, right? And we know it's going to be a tough environment. And it's the second time that we had played at K-State. And both times have been really cold and dreary and in Kansas. But, we went down a couple of goals and were able to come back in the second half and get it to overtime and win it in overtime. So very happy and pleased, but proud of the effort that they had to display given some of the adverse conditions that we had to deal with. And obviously playing West Virginia is always tough, right? And speaking to Yaz right before the game or the day before the game, I said, "So what do you think?" And she's like, "Coach, we got this." I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay." And that made me feel a whole lot better as the coach is like, "Okay, she believes that we can do this, and we've come a long way if we're talking like this before a game against the perennial power in the league." So that gave me some, I guess, set me at ease a little bit, knowing that there was true belief in our program that we were going to win that game.
The fireworks in the background, the fans that were allowed to be there, the alumni that got to see it, that had been part of us getting there. If we had been in Kansas City, they wouldn't have been able to be there. And so being at home, in that moment, and doing it against a very good soccer team in West Virginia that has beaten us and we've had our struggles with, it was definitely a moment where I know our girls will look back and say, "You won a championship, you beat West Virginia, you had the success, and now they know how to do it again." But every game you win is great and it's sweet, but yeah, to have it at home with the fans and everybody that supports us to be there, it definitely was maybe worth a little bit of the struggle along the way.